Hello, I'm back like I said I would be. I want to do the part on the elves at least, and then I might do another part later, do the halfling later today, but let's learn about the elves. Of 5th edition Dungeons and Dragons. I'll start out reading a little flavor text like I did with the other one. I've never imagined such beauty existed, Goldmoon said softly. The day's march had been difficult, but the reward at the end was beyond their dreams. The companions stood on a high cliff over the fabled city of Quellanost. 4 slender spires rose from the city's corner like glistening spindles, their brilliant white stone marbled with spinning silver. Graceful arches swooping from spire to spire soared through the air. Crafted by ancient dwarven metalsmiths, they were strong enough to hold the weight of an army, yet they appeared so delicate that a bird lighting on them might overthrow the balance. The glistening arches were the city's only boundaries. There were no walls around Quellanost. The elven city opened its arms lovingly to the wilderness. Margaret Weiss and Tracy Hickman, Dragons of Autumn Twilight. If that sounded familiar, that's because we just read that in the last book when they first went to, that's the part when they first go to Tanis's homeland. And that was just from the book we had just been finished reading. Elves are a magical people of otherworldly grace, living in the world but not entirely part of it. They live in places of ethereal beauty, in the midst of ancient forests, or in silvery spires glittering with fiery light, where most music drifts through the air and gentle fragrances waft on the breeze. Elves love nature and magic, art and artistry, music and poetry, and the good things of the world. I like the elves. I really like, I've grown accustomed to playing elves. I like half-orcs for other reasons too, but elves are fun. Slender and graceful. With their unearthly grace and fine features, elves appear hauntingly beautiful to humans and members of many other races. They are slightly shorter than humans on average, ranging from well under 5 feet tall to just over 6 foot. They are more slender than humans, weighing only 100 to 145 pounds. Males and females are about the same height, and males are only marginally heavier than females. Elves' coloration encompasses the normal human range and also includes skins in shades of copper, bronze, and almost bluish white, hair of green or blue, and eyes like pools of liquid gold or silver. Elves have no facial and little body hair. They favor elegant clothing and bright colors, and they enjoy simple yet lovely jewelry. A timeless perspective. Elves can live well over 700 years, giving them a broad perspective on events that might trouble the shorter-lived races more deeply. They are often amused then excited, and honey, you're being loud, big man. Where was I? They are more often amused than excited, and more likely to be curious than greedy. They tend to remain aloof and unfazed by petty happenstance. When pursuing a goal, however, whether adventuring on a mission or learning a new skill of art, elves can be focused and relentless. They are slow to make friends and enemies, and even slower to forget them. They reply to petty insults and disdain, and serious insults with vengeance. Asriel, you're confusing me, hon, when I'm reading. Like the branches of a young tree, elves are flexible in the face of danger. They trust in diplomacy and compromise to resolve differences before they escalate to violence. They have been known to retreat from intrusions into their woodland homes, confident that they can simply wait the invaders out. But when the need arises, elves reveal a stern material side, demonstrating skill with sword, bow, and strategy. Hidden woodland realms. Most elves dwell in small forests hidden among the trees. Elves hunt game, gather food, and grow vegetables, and their skill with magic allow them to support themselves without the need for clearing and plowing land. They are talented artisans, crafting finely worked clothes and art objects. Their contact with outsiders is usually limited. Though a few elves make a good living by trading crafted items for metal, which they have no interest in mining. Elves encountered outside their own land are commonly traveling minstrels, artists, or sages. Human nobles compete for the service of elf instructors to teach swordplay or magic to their children. Exploration and adventure. Elves take up adventuring out of wanderlust. Since they are so long-lived, they can enjoy centuries of exploration and discovery. They dislike the pace of human society, which is regimented from day to day, but constantly changing over decades. So they find careers that let them travel freely and set their own pace. Elves also enjoy exercising their martial prowess or gaining greater magical power, and adventuring allows them to do so. Some might join with rebels fighting oppression, and others might become champions of moral causes. We're going to skip elves' names like we skipped dwarf names because it doesn't really matter. Elf traits. Well, before we do elf traits, let's do this. Haughty but courageous. So we're going to talk about the elves' perspectives on the other three main races. Although they can be haughty, elves are generally gracious even to those who fall short of their high expectations, which is most non-elves. Still, they can find good in just about anybody. So here's elves on dwarves. Dwarves are dull, clumsy oafs. But what they lack in humor, sophistication, and manners, they make up in valor. And I must admit, their best smiths produce art that approaches elven quality. Halflings. Halflings are people of simple pleasures, and that is not a quality to scorn. They're good folks. They care for each other and tend their gardens, and they have proven themselves tougher than they seem when the need arises. Humans. All that haste. No, Dad's reading, boy. All that haste, their ambition and drive to accomplish something before their brief lives pass away. Humans' endeavors seem so futile sometimes. But then you look at what they have accomplished, and you have to appreciate their achievements. If only they could slow down and learn some refinement. Me. I love you, boy. Elf traits. Your elf characters have a variety of natural abilities, the result of thousands of years of elven refinement. Ability score increase. Your dexterity score increases by 2. Age. Although elves reach physical maturity at about the same age as humans, the elven understanding of adulthood goes beyond physical growth to encompass worldly experience. An elf typically claims adulthood and an adult name around the age of 100, and they can live to be 750 years old. Alignment. Elves love freedom, variety, and self-expression, so they lean strongly toward the gentler aspects of chaos. They value and protect others' freedom as well as their own, and they are more often good than not. The Drows are an exception. Their exile into the Underdark has made them vicious and dangerous. Drows are more often evil than not. Sizes. Elves range from under 5 to over 6 feet tall and have slender builds. Your size is medium. Your base walking speed is 30 feet. Dark vision. Accustomed to twilight forests and the night sky, you have superior vision in the dark and dim coordinates. You can see the dim light within 60 feet of you as if it were bright light, and in darkness as if it were dim light. You can't discern colors in darkness, only shades of gray. Keen senses. You have proficiency in the perception skill. Fey ancestry. You have an advantage on saving throws against being charmed, and magic cannot put you to sleep. That's dope. Trances. Elves don't need to sleep. Instead, they meditate deeply, remaining semi-conscious for 4 hours a day. The common word for such meditation is trance. While meditating, you can dream after a fashion. Such dreams are actually mental exercises that have become reflective through years of practice. After resting in this way, you gain the same benefits that a human does from 8 hours of sleep. Languages. You speak, read, write Common and Elvish. Elvish is fluid with subtle intonations and intricate grammar. Elven literature is rich and varied, and their songs and poems are famous among other races. Many bards learn their language so they can add Elvish ballads to their repertoires. Subrace. Ancient divides among the elven people resulted in three main subraces: high elves, wood elves, and dark elves, who are commonly called drow. Choose one of these subraces. In some worlds, these subraces are divided still further, such as sun elves and moon elves of the Forgotten Realms. So if you wish, you can choose a narrower subrace. High elf. As a high elf, you choose a keen mind and a mastery of at least the basics of magic. In many of the worlds of D&D, there are two kinds of high elves. One type, which includes the gray elves and valley elves of Greyhawk, the Sylvanestia of Dragonlance, and the Sun Elves of the Forgotten Realms, is haughty and reclusive, believing themselves to be superior to non-elves and higher other elves. The other type, including the High Elves of Greyhawk, the Quinestia of Dragonlance, and the Moon Elves of Forgotten Realms, are common and more friendly and often encountered among humans and other races. So if you read Dragonlance with us when I was reading that at night, the Elves of Quinestia are high elves, which you can kind of tell by how they acted, and they're some of the nicer high elves. The Sun Elves of Fura, also called Gold Elves or Sunrise Elves, have bronze skin and their hair of copper, black, and golden blonde. Their eyes are golden, silver, or black. Moon Elves, also called Silver Eggs or Gray Elves, are much paler, with alabaster skin, sometimes tinged with blue. That's kind of like what your Night Elves look like in World of Warcraft. They often have hair of silver, white, black, or blue, but various shades of blonde, brown, and red are not uncommon. Their eyes are blue or green and flecked with gold. So if you pick these high elves, your ability scores, you're going to increase your intelligence by 1. Your elf weapon training, you'll be proficient with long swords, short bows, and long bows. You'll get cantrips. You know one cantrip of your choice from the wizard spell list. Intelligence is your spell casting ability for it. Very good. Extra language. You can speak, read, and write one extra language of your choice. So you're going to start with Elven, you're going to start with Common, you're going to gain one. These high elves are educated folks. The Wood Elf. As a Wood Elf, you have keen senses and intuition, and your fleet feet carry you quickly and stealthily through your native forests. This category includes the Wild Elves, Grugach of Greyhawk, and the Cagnostia of Dragonlance, as well as the races called Wood Elves and Greyhawk and the Forgotten Realms. In Furarun, Wood Elves, also called Wild Elves, Green Elves, or Forest Elves, are reclusive and distrusting of non-elves. Wait, why are you scratching me, you little elf? Come here. I'll move over here, that baby attacked me. Hey, I love you, boy. Wood Elf's skin tends to be copperish and blue, sometimes with traces of green. Hey, that baby's attacking! I attacked that baby. Okay, Wood Elf's skins tend to be copperish and hue, sometimes with traces of green. Their hair tends toward brown, blacks, but it occasionally is blonde or copper colored. Their eyes are green, brown, or hazel. Oh, I attacked the baby! I was going to finish the section this time before you interrupted it again. So if you pick these type of Wood Elves, your ability score increases. You're going to increase your wisdom score by 1. You're going to get elf weapon training. You have proficiency with the longsword, the short bow, and the longbow. I think it changes from the drow. So those two elves, that's trained. Fleetfoot. Your base walking speed increases to 35 feet, so that's cool. You can attempt to hide even when you are only obscured by foliage, heavy rain, falling snow, mist, and other natural phenomena. So this elf will make for a good rogue or assassin type character too. So the last type of elf we're going to read is the Dark Elf. Dark Elf's fun. I want to play a Dark Elf. They're kind of your edgelord elves. Hey, okay, so Dark Elf, or drow. Descended from an earlier subrace of dark-skinned elves, the drow were banished from the surface world for following the goddess Loth down the path to evil and corruption. Now they have built their own civilization in the depths of the Underdark. Patterned after the way of Loth, also called Dark Elves, the drow have black skin that resembles polished obsidian and stark white or pale yellow hair. What'd you do, my love? Okay. They commonly have very pale eyes. so pale as to be mistaken for white, in shades of lilac, silver, pink, red, and blue. They tend to be smaller and thinner than most elves. Drow adventurers are rare, but the race does not exist in all worlds. Check your dungeon master, see if you can play a drow character. Which, you know, it's funny, I say I want to play a drow, but I probably would not let my characters play a drow for right now. Your ability score, you're going to increase your charisma by 1. You're going to have superior dark vision. Your dark vision has a radius of 120 feet. This is cool disadvantage, though. Sunlight sensitivity. You have disadvantage on attack rolls and on wisdom checks that rely on sight when you, the target of your attack, or whatever you're trying to perceive, is in direct sunlight. So, to my players who might be watching, you know what advantage is. You roll the 2 d20s, you pick the higher of the roll. When you're at disadvantage, you roll 2 d20s, you pick the lower of the roll. Drow magic. You know the dancing lights cantrip. When you reach a 3rd level, you can cast the fairy fire spell once per day. When you reach the 5th level, you can also cast darkness spell once per day. Charisma is your spell casting ability for these spells. That's very nice. You have proficiency with rapiers, short swords, and hand crossbows. So now let's read the little flavor text. The darkness of the drow. Were it not for one renowned exception, the race of drow would be universally reviled. To most, they are a race of demon-worshipping marauders dwelling in the subterranean depths of the Underdark, emerging only on the blackest night to pillage and slaughter the surface dwellers they despise. Their city is depraved and preoccupied with the favor of Loth, their spider goddess, who sanctions murders and the extermination of entire families as noble houses vie for position. Yet one drow at least broke the mold in the world of the Forgotten Realms. Dritz Duerden, Ranger of the North, has proven his quality as a good-hearted defender of the weak and innocent, rejecting his heritage and adrift in a world that looks upon him with terror and loathing. Dritz is a model for those few drow who follow in his footsteps, trying to find a life apart from the evil society of their Underdark homes. Drow grow up believing that surface-dwelling races are inferior, worthless, except as slaves. Drow who develop a conscience or find it necessary to cooperate with members of other races find it hard to overcome that prejudice, especially when they are so often on the receiving end of hatred. Like I said, drows can be very fun to play. So we just went over the elf. The next time I read, which I might try to do that later today because I've been feeling this, we'll get into the halfling. Thank you guys for listening. Please share my videos. Please give likes. And I will be back later. Peace, suckers.